Well, good morning there, fans of the P3. Welcome in. Tiger Bomb Tom here with another edition of the Morning After Raw. I decided to make this one not a live video because there's a lot of stuff that I have to do to set up and do that, and then set up for afternoon stream and everything like that. So that's all right. It's gonna be pretty quick. I got a few notes here about Monday Night Raw. Before we get into that, as always, I want to thank our sponsors for the Pittsburgh Power Driver podcast. First of all, I'd like to thank Mr. Sean Tischler over with IWC Clearfield. Go check out his Facebook group page, IWC Clearfield. Also, want to thank Mr. Poot the Bard and his channel, Poot the Bard. You can catch him, I believe. I don't know if he has it here on Facebook or not, but it definitely does on YouTube as well. And we'd also like to obviously thank the madman himself, Frigoff Ransom. Go check out his YouTube channel. He'll probably be putting out a video sometime today, I think. He usually does that. Usually Mondays, Tuesdays, something like that. Usually to kind of hype up the Among Us on Tuesday nights on my page, which is getting to the last sponsor, me, Casual Gaming Dad. You can check out my page over on Facebook and YouTube, and also over on Twitch, Casual Gaming Dad 84. And now that that's out of the way, let's get into some Monday Night Raw recap, review, impressions, whatever. Actually, you know what? I'm going to preface this by kind of saying one thing from SmackDown that I noticed, because I skimmed through both Raw and SmackDown this morning. And I'll tell you something about SmackDown that I really got on my nerves. So from WrestleMania, we had Seth Rollins versus Cesaro. Great match. Cesaro getting his first win, his first singles win ever at a WrestleMania, which is fantastic, and that is great. Love Cesaro. Push him to the freaking moon, please. The man deserves it. However, this is, again, where WWE thinks they know what we want to see, and they're like, let's give them this, and let's shove it down their throats ad nauseum about the fact of Cesaro doing the airplay spin to Seth Rollins on his shoulders with no hands, ma. Listen, it was impressive, not taking anything away from it, but I only need to hear about it half a dozen fucking times throughout the course of SmackDown, and two of those times happening not even 5 minutes apart. We get it. Focus on more important stuff. Jesus Christ almighty, WWE. Get your shit together. All right, now let's get to Monday Night Raw. So, last week, the Raw after Mania was pretty uneventful and pretty uninspiring. And I wasn't impressed at all, and I don't think many people were. So let's just start off with God, I don't have many notes. Let's start off with the first thing that I noticed. And this is not necessarily going to go in sequential order of what all happened on Monday Night Raw. I may jump around a little bit, but just bear with me. So, first off, the one thing I noticed, and I even said it to the boys in the group chat, was you had the Viking Raiders versus Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin. Again, we had this last week where they came back. Viking Raiders come back, from a long absence because one of them had a bad injury. Okay, cool. They come back. That was like the quote-unquote surprise debut on Monday Night Raw last week. We didn't really get any NXT people debuting. We didn't get any roster shakeups or anything like that. We got the Viking Raiders coming back. All well and good. They go over last week in their match. Kudos. Congrats. Deja fucking vu. The exact same thing happened this week. Why am I emotionally invested in this? Give me a reason. Give me a reason to care. Just because the fact that they're back after one of them was injured. Okay, that's all well and fine. Give me something to sink my teeth into. Maybe even have Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander pick up the win this week. I don't know. I mean, I know you don't want to 50-50 book stuff all the time, but Jesus Christ, like, give me something. I don't know. It's just a big, who cares? And it's sad because that's exactly how WWE generally treats the tag team divisions is, who cares? Anyways, moving on from that. I guess this kind of ties in a little bit to that. Previous to that match, to open up Monday Night Raw, we had Drew McIntyre coming out and kind of addressing MVP from last week and what happened at the end of his triple threat match, him getting attacked by T-Bar and Mace while MVP was up on the ramp and like, you have to do something. I know you had something to do with this. Did you have something to do with this? I had nothing to do with this, man. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, whatever. So this eventually sets up a handicap match between T-Bar and Mace versus Drew McIntyre later on in the night. Adam Pearce didn't want to make this match. He told Drew that he needed a partner. Drew didn't care. Took them both on for a while. Eventually, it kind of broke down, and the two of them ended up just beating the shit out of Drew McIntyre. He gets a DQ win from that. However, Braun Strowman comes down and then kind of saves the day, and then magically turns into a tag team match. And then in the course of that match, something semi-interesting happened. I don't know. I mean, hopefully it bears to be semi-interesting moving forward. Drew McIntyre ripped off... Whose mask did he rip off first? Mace. He ripped off Mace's mask and just, like, started beating him with it, which got him DQ'd. And then Braun Strowman kind of did the same thing to T-Bar. So we get the two former members of Retribution, Sans, Mad Max, mask. Hopefully that stays that way. Hopefully we don't have these stupid get-ups and the stupid names going forward. Hopefully they actually bring him back to being Dominic Dijakovic, Leo Madden. We'll see. If there's one thing we've learned when we say, as long as WWE books it right, they generally fuck it up. So there was that. I'm gonna try to balance this stuff out with the good and the bad. Miz and Maurice, I thought it was good. I always enjoy a good heel Miz. Him and Maurice being together and playing the whole like overly like you want to puke because they're like so lovey-dovey couple, like, oh, I love you, I love you, I love you. You know, it's entertaining, it's cool. I have a theory. I feel like they're setting the seeds for discontent between Miz and John Morrison. Like John Morrison's gonna kind of be the third wheel now that Maurice is like hovering back around, and Miz is so pumped on focusing on him and his wife and promoting their brand. He's gonna kind of throw Jomo to the wayside. I think. Stay tuned on that one. We'll see if that pans out. But it set up a match between Miz and Damian Priest. Damian Priest went over. Cool. All well and fine. So far, the only loss that Damian Priest has had on Raw was to Miz and Morrison, but it was in a handicap match, so it makes sense. It doesn't make Damian Priest look completely weak or anything like that. So that's good. Orton versus Riddle was a good match. Solid match. Riddle goes over with the crucifix pin. That's cool. The backstage segment that set up this match was kind of funny. As it always is with Riddle. It's just sometimes they ride a fine line with me personally, like between making Riddle seem so over the top stoner bro and enough to where he's actually funny. So but it was a good match all around. As any I mean, we both know Riddle can go. Orton puts on technically very sound matches and everything like that. So it was a good, solid match all around. Hurrah. Let's talk about the 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 Raw or the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions, Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax, or Shaynia as we like to call them. Man, I have never seen a wrestler come to the ring, or a set of wrestlers come to the ring that look just so disenfranchised and so like just who gives a shit that they're there than those two last night on Monday Night Raw. Like, even when Shayna's going through her little taunts up on stage and stuff like that before she comes down making her entrance, it seems just very going through the motions. And honestly, if I were paired with Nia Jax, I'd probably be going through the motions too. Um, I mean, I think it's pretty well documented my my feelings about Nia Jax as a wrestler, but I digress. So I mean, they have this meh come down kind of attitude. They have a match against Naomi and Lana, and during the match, the events that transpired from last week between Shayna and Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke are played on the Titantron to distract Nia Jax, which it works. She ends up leaving Shayna to kind of fend for herself, and Shayna gets pinned. So they lose the match. But at the end, Nia Jax comes out and is like, oh, it has this surprise look like, oh my God, like, I can't believe we lost. Well, no shit, you idiot. Like, it's stupid. I hope they really break that tag team up. Because, god damn, like, Shayna Baszler could be so much better. She could be a force to be reckoned with. And again, much like many other NXT superstars that come from NXT, get brought on Raw or SmackDown, she was kind of put into mid-card obscurity. She's thrown into a women's tag team with Nia Jax. I don't know. Nia's the worst. It's whatever. I really wish. I hope they break up this. I hope they break up this tag team, and it just gives Shayna a good tear. I would love to see Rhea Ripley versus Shayna Baszler. That would be so good. Anyways, I just done with that. Speaking of tag teams, Elias and Jackson Ryker. I really think that they should really push them as a tag team, and instead of just having Jackson Ryker be the freaking lackey, the muscle roadie for Elias. I love Elias, and I feel like he's good in the ring. He's good on the mic. I'd like to see him. I would have loved to seen him get a singles push for a mid card title, but that's probably not going to happen anytime soon. So at the very least, let's give them push them in the tag team scene. I don't know. I would like to see more from Jackson Ryker in the ring rather than just being the lackey for Elias. But maybe he's not ready for it. I don't know. And if he's not ready for it, then why is he on Raw? I don't know. Why isn't he still down? Why? Now, again, this is gonna make NXT look bad, because we've talked about how NXT really is a third brain and isn't just developmental, but there is developmental aspects down there. So if Jackson isn't ready for in-ring stuff on Monday Night Raw, or I don't know why they got rid of, I don't know why they broke up the Forgotten Sons from NXT anyways, and why put him on TV? I don't know. If he's not ready, then why have him there? I don't know. Whatever. Let's, but maybe, like I said, maybe let's see how that tag team would do. Speaking of the tag team scene, yet again, WWE with a big who gives a shit dump all over the tag team. Where the hell are AJ and Omos? They're your new Raw Tag Team Champions, and they weren't on TV last week, and they weren't on TV this week, and there was, like... Now, again, I fast forward through a lot of Raw, and I was just kind of skimming through the stuff, but I don't know if there was any mention of them. If there was any mention of them, it was probably during the Kofi versus Elias match, probably just saying how the New Day lost their tag team titles to AJ and Omos, but where the hell are they? They're not on TV. You have new champions and you're not putting them on TV. Why? Why? I don't know. Speaking again, a nice little segue into new champions, Sheamus. Kind of having a little backstage talk with Adam Pearce this week. Sheamus wasn't on Raw last week, but he's your new U.S. champion. But he was on Raw this week, so okay. Maybe I'll let that one slide. Whatever. With all the lackluster crap that was on Raw last week, you figure they would have been able to give some sort of like little 2 to 3 minute segment or something to have Sheamus on there talking about his win over Matt Riddle. I don't know. Whatever. But Sheamus said he would issue an open challenge, and it wouldn't necessarily be for the U.S. title, but he would just issue an open fight challenge, whatever. And who comes to the ring? Humberto Carrillo. Huh? What? Where the hell has he been? Why is he relevant? What? What is going on? I don't even know. Just like he was nowhere, and then here's Humberto Carrillo. It was basically just time filler. He came down the ring. There wasn't even a match. Sheamus beat the shit out of him. That's it. Go home. Good night. I don't. It's reasons. Whatever. And then the last thing I want to talk about is the one thing that's been like probably the biggest topic since WrestleMania. And then there's an article that I want to read to you guys about this too, that the fellas shared in the group chat. It's about Alexa Bliss and Bray Wyatt. So we got another Alexa's Playground segment this week. Basically said her friend Lily has always been with her. It just wasn't something that just happened. And she said she told a story, whatever. She set the seeds for if Lily doesn't like you, you're dead, sort of thing, whatever. So she's like, let me tell you, Lily didn't like him, referring to the Fiend or Bray or both, and she doesn't like any of the women on the roster. Okay, whatever. Setting up spooky, super scary Alexa Bliss, a la Fiend style, whatever. But we got no Bray Wyatt, no Fiend, no Firefly Funhouse, nothing else other than Alexa's Playground this week. So I'm gonna read you this article, and I'm gonna read it verbatim, and you guys, you can tell me in the comments if you agree or not. I feel like they make a lot of good points, and there's one point I'll hammer home when I get to it. Okay, so it says, after WrestleMania and Raw, the Fiend is essentially dead, which, by all accounts, it seems that way right now. It says, imagine a world where Laurie Strode, after 1 or 2 Halloween sequels, teams up with Michael Myers. If you can't beat him with a hanger, knife, gun, or even fire, may as well join him, right? Michael and Laurie become whores Mickey and Mallory for another set of sequels until Laurie decides to destroy Michael herself. She uses all he taught her to finish him because she wants to be the only one Haddonfield whispers about on brisk Halloween nights. Since monsters never really die in horror movies, at least not till the grosses go down, we all know Michael will come back. Showing someone is a better Michael Myers than the actual Michael Myers makes him a less scary monster. They're drawing the comparison, obviously, between Bray Wyatt and Alexa Bliss, saying that Alexa Bliss is a better Fiend than Bray Wyatt was, and that now that makes Bray Wyatt kind of a moot point, and the Fiend a moot point. But it says, and that is the position Bray Wyatt finds himself in at this very moment. Alexa is a better Fiend than Bray in pretty much every single facet. What their clearish breakup signifies is there's nowhere to go but down for the once self-declared eater of worlds, especially since she's made him redundant, dull, and worst of all, silly. By the way, this article comes from CagesideSeats.com. Sorry for not citing my source sooner, poop, but I got it. I cited it. Words. Paraphrasing. I don't know, whatever. Anyways, CagesideSeats.com. This is where this article came from. Goes on to say the Fiend didn't have many, if any, weaknesses. It's true. They built the Fiend up pretty good. Unless you're fucking Goldberg over in Saudi Arabia for a blood money show. But that is a whole nother rabbit hole that I don't want to dive back down to because I will need many sessions of therapy to forget that. Outside a few minor scars from a bit of fire that magically healed themselves, which that was stupid, the dude was untouchable. Fairly true. Then along came Alexa to emotionally manipulate him, and he goes down like a ton of bricks. Every horror monster has its kryptonite. True. Vampires hate garlic on their pizzas, zombies detest human head trauma, and Jason Voorhees has mommy issues. That actually wasn't really his weakness. That was water was his weakness. His mommy issues was his strength. Anyways, get your shit right, cage side seats. Come on. Those flaws are okay because they're established early on and provide dramatic tension. With the Fiend, as with a lot of wrestling, everything feels like it's done on the fly. If you're WWE, yeah, it's like spaghetti against the fucking wall. It's hard figuring out what the Fiend is and what he's not when WWE doesn't seem to have the answer themselves. No shit. You don't say. Therefore, when Alexa pops out of a Jack-in-the-Box dressed like whatever she was dressed like, and it stops the Fiend dead in his tracks, it's on to us to fill in the blanks. And yeah, that ain't it. Fiend is Bray's instrument of vengeance. Good point. Does anyone really expect him to get his retribution on Alexa? Yeah, that's also a good point. If the recent episode of the Firefly Funhouse has any indication, the answer is an empathetic nah. Bray intends to move forward, cleansing his house of all clout chasers and witches who wowed out, which I thought that was kind of funny from last week. These witches be wild. While there's precedence of making a clean break in the wrestling stories, this one makes Bray look rather chumpish. I'd agree with that. Even worse, it renders the whole thing moot. If this entire story was Alexa pulling a long con on Bray, or about her getting drunk with power, then WWE really wrote themselves into a corner. This, right here. This, what I just said, and this, what I'm about to say. The company isn't fully committed to intergender matches, and there isn't another woman willing to fight on Bray's behalf. The story never had a chance to go anywhere meaningful, and a resolution was never an option. Right there. Stop writing yourselves into corners. You're so worried about having everything so scripted and making sure everything is so perfect that you write yourselves into a friggin' corner, or I don't know, like you didn't let. I don't believe. I don't believe for a single second that this was Bray's idea to say, let's kill the Fiend and let's transfer it to Alexa Bliss. I don't for a second believe that's it. I hope to God they prove me wrong. I hope it's proven wrong later on down the road. I will gladly eat that crow. But God almighty, if this does not have freaking Vincent Kennedy McMahon last minute changes written all over it, and you can go back and watch the Fast Count News and hear us talking about how essentially the Fiend losing to Randy Orton at WrestleMania was literally a decision that was made freaking hours before the show of shows. Anyways, I digress. Back to this point. They're really not they're not hammering home any sort of intergender wrestling. WWE isn't about that. They're not there. I don't think the fan base is necessarily there yet. And that's fine. If that's not, whatever. It is what it is. But you have to make sure that your creative isn't backing themselves into corners based off of these facts. So let's go on. Instead of a vengeful Bray, last Monday gave us a guy in full Baptist preacher mode promising to be better. Yeah, but to be fair, we also know that things aren't always what they see with Bray Wyatt and Sweater Bray. But we'll go on. Because I think when the Firefly Funhouse first came around, a lot of us were probably like, "What is this?" And then it got creepy real quick. So, anyways, we'll go on. Horror monsters maintain their edge by coming back twice as hard after every defeat. If Bray lets this slide, WWE is telling us that The Fiend is a toothless punchline. If Bray's history is any indicator, The Fiend as a joke is just where we're headed. It wasn't beauty he killed the beast, it was creative. Ain't that the fucking truth? Is he dead? Or are you holding on to hope that this spooky ship can right itself? So, I think there's a lot of good points brought up in that article. I really think WWE wrote themselves into a corner that they probably are gonna really, really have to try hard to get out of. I don't know where this is gonna go. This is the one thing about Monday Night Raw that I'm holding out hope for is this whole Fiend situation and Alexa Bliss. That there is some sort of long story. I'm not gonna deny I like Alexa Bliss as this like fiendish character that she has been. I loved all the stuff when she was playing the mind games with Orton in Bray Wyatt's absence. I thought it was great. It was great storytelling. It inevitably set up a great it set up what could have been a great return for the Fiend, but we saw what happened at Mania. And so I don't know. I just less and less have any reason to watch Monday Night Raw. But I'm doing it for you all here so you have something to go off of. I'm doing the dirty work. So if you don't have time to watch Monday Night Raw, you can be like, what did I miss? Here you go. Save yourself 2 hours and 40 minutes or 2.5 hours. I'm giving you the rundown here in under a half an hour of hitting the highlights and the lowlights of Monday Night Raw. So I'm doing this for you because that's what a good champion does. Anyways, I'm out of here for now. Before we get out, I will thank the sponsors once again. Don't forget to go check them out. Go check out the Facebook group page by Sean Tischler for IWC Clearfield. And keep up to date with everything that's going on with IWC and as it relates to the Clearfield area. If you're ever up in Central PA, definitely go check out one of the shows. If you want to see any IWC shows in the meantime, if you're not in the Clearfield area, head around to Elizabeth, PA, over here in southwestern PA. And definitely check out the guys and girls. We got some guys from IWC making waves over on AEW Dark and AEW Dark Elevation. Mr. Andrew Palace, shout out to him. I don't think he listens to this podcast or follows this page, but you know what? I'm going to shout him out anyways. And yeah, just because that's the right thing to do. We also want to thank Poot the Bard and his channel. Go check him out where he does guitar stuff. He does some video game stuff. And just all around a very good guy, Mr. Poot the Barbarian. Also, we want to thank Frigoff Ransom and his channel. Go check out Ransom the Madman as he gives you exactly what's on his mind, usually on a weekly basis. And as he kind of covers things, some wrestling, some non-related. Usually a lot of bitching about people not putting out enough content here on the Pittsburgh Piledriver podcast. But I'm writing that ship, Ransom. I'm doing it for you, and I'm doing it for the fans. So that's what your champ is doing here. Also, last but certainly not least, I want to thank Casual Gaming Dad. Hey, that's me. Thank myself. Pat on the back. Pat on the back. If I tried to pat any harder, I'd throw my arm out of socket. But no, in all seriousness, go check out my page, Casual Gaming Dad, here on Facebook. Check me out over on YouTube. You can follow me over on Twitch, Casual Gaming Dad 84. You can also get your very own official Pittsburgh Piledriver podcast t-shirt over in my section of the shop at Gould Gaming. So head on over to gouldgaming.com. Thank you to Taylor and the gang over there for carrying our shirt in my section of the shop. So let me know what you guys think. Did you agree with my synopsis of Raw? More specifically, even about the Alexa Bliss and Fiend stuff? Let us know in the comments here. I'm going to post this video up here in just a moment on Facebook and YouTube, so you guys will have a chance to sound off there. By the time you guys see this, it'll probably already have been up. So plenty of time to get in those comments. Let us know what you think. But we'll be recording another episode of the Pittsburgh Pile Driver podcast for you later this week, Thursday to be specific, and that should get out to you soon thereafter. Have a great rest of your day, and until next time, on behalf of Ransom the Madman, Poot the Barbarian, Beef the Legend, and myself, the best damn Cruiserweight champion that there ever was, in the words of Ransom, not of me. Ransom's words, not mine. The best damn Cruiserweight champion that there ever was, Tiger Bomb Tom, signing off saying thank you and have a great day.